So let's talk about Roswell, and let's start at the very beginning. So for everybody here at Shop Talk, and for those folks watching at home, who is Roswell, and how do they help e-commerce businesses grow?
Yeah, I love talking about that. Roswell, we're a full-service e-commerce agency. We've been around for over a decade. Started originally, as a development agency primarily. But over time, that naturally grew to include design and then ultimately growth marketing. So retention marketing, paid digital ads, SEO, affiliate marketing. And increasingly over time, our clients have come to us for, like the full suite of services. One of the great things about that is that we love developing long-term partnerships with our brands. Our team becomes very embedded with those brands. They learn a lot about their tone of voice, their demographics, what their objectives, their KPIs are, their goals. And in doing so, we're able to take all of the knowledge and skills that we have within the Shopify ecosystem and e-commerce in general, and really help them achieve their goals by sharing in developing strategies that are going to help them. So we're not an agency that just wants to be told, hey, move this block over from A to B. We want to understand what the goals are, what the motivations are, what the objectives are of the brand, and then really work collaboratively so that we can develop strategies and a roadmap to help get those brands to their objectives, through a variety of means. And that's going to be from everything from, conversion rate optimization, UI, UX development, developing up a really robust retention marketing strategy, looking at all of their acquisition channels, understanding how they're approaching analytics and how they're understanding their attribution. So, really the full gamut. I mean, and that isn't to say that, we don't work with clients solely on a development basis or a retention marketing basis. We certainly do.
Okay.
But oftentimes those relationships sort of naturally develop and expand into other services. It's just a natural development for us.
Got you. So it sounds like you really kind of approach it as a true partnership.
Absolutely.
Great. So when a brand engages Roswell, I imagine they have a long list of needs, right? So how does Roswell determine which touch points are going to move the needle and kind of where to focus their efforts?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's, obviously anytime a brand comes to us, unless they're truly a startup, they're going to have a lot of history. They're going to have their own, historical experience when it comes to their performance, from whether it's through various channels of acquisition, through their influencer relationships, their affiliate relationships, and so forth. And so we really want to look at where the brand has been. We also want to do things like implement tools to help us with behavioral analysis on sites. So we're looking at things like heat mapping, the relationship between engagement with different elements on a page, and the conversion outcomes, the revenue outcomes, and use that data to really formulate a plan. And so specific to conversion rate optimization, like this chart that you've got up shows, we're going to be looking at categorizing different opportunities for the brand, based on, is this, what are the low-hanging fruit that are available that we know that we can take care of, very easy things to knock out that are going to improve performance for that site. They're going to increase conversion rate. They may increase AOV or engagement on another level, decrease the bounce rate, keep people more engaged, get them to sign up for their newsletter more frequently. So sort of what are those easy wins that we know that we can do? They don't require a lot of development and investment.
Yeah.
So we want to create a roadmap that starts there. Then we want to start to look at things that are going to be bigger lifts. So, things that will require some development, but we know will have a big payoff. Oftentimes, A/B testing is really critical.
Yeah.
And so this is one of those areas where, a tool like Rebuy becomes really important for us, because it gives us a lot more flexibility to test, and to experiment and to develop different hypotheses around performance and test those hypotheses in real time. So not only is it giving us the tools with which, without, getting into a whole lot of development, we can test some of these ideas, but also it's giving, it's actually a platform that we can use to A/B test those ideas as well to see how they play out. And so getting into some of those bigger bets, some of those things that take time, oftentimes can be very, move a lot faster with a tool like
Right.
Rebuy, and it makes a huge difference for us.
That's great to hear. And you're talking about data, and I know I've got a cousin in engineering, and they talk about the elegant solution, where you're getting maximum impact with minimum effort, and so that allows you to hit those quick wins while also keeping that long-term success in mind. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so to talk about like how Roswell incorporates Rebuy into some of your strategies, you brought a few brands here, a few examples that we can look at.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and start there. So this first one, tell us about how you're working with Carve Designs.
Yeah, so Carve is an apparel brand, and Roswell, we work with several different types of verticals. I myself actually came from 20 years in the apparel industry,
Oh,
and so a lot of experience with that particular beast. Apparel has its own challenges just due to the fact that you're typically going to be talking about a lot higher SKU count. And so one of the products of that, one of the necessities, is to really create a path to purchase experience that allows the user to get focused in on the products that they're most likely to convert with, that they're going to identify with, quickly.
yep.
And so using in this example with Carve, using the carousels, the product carousels throughout the site, that are informed, that are being driven by user data, is exactly what we need to help us do that. And so rather than sort of the old school merchandising or looking at bestsellers or any of those things, you're actually deploying carousels throughout the site experience, throughout the path to purchase, that are speaking to that user very specifically, and that are using data to back up the recommendations, the product recommendations that they're making.
Yeah.
And this is, I can't tell you, with an apparel brand or with any brand where there's just a lot of SKUs, a lot of choice, a tool like this is really critical. And
Gotcha. Well, you're putting it to good use, because I did bring some numbers here for Carve. And over the last 30 days, Carve has an AOV boost of almost 10%, 9.8%. And they're rocking the Smart Cart, Rebuy Smart Cart. What we see here on the screen are a couple of PDP widgets. And this Complete the Look widget here right in the middle, that little guy is bringing in 20% of the additional revenue. So every little touch point can make a big difference.
yeah. I mean, it's never going to get any easier to draw traffic to your site. That's only been more and more of a challenging game, and there's a lot of great things you can do to do that well. But when you get those users to your site, it's more important than ever that you've done everything to make sure that you're capturing that business, make sure that you're getting them to the right thing. So yeah, tools like that are extremely important.
That's such a great point. Because once you get the traffic, then what happens? You want to have things set up to optimize that traffic. So well put. We brought another brand here. Tell us about how Roswell is working with Jaliska.
Yeah, so Jaliska is a home goods brand. Again, it's a pretty SKU intensive brand, pretty SKU intensive site experience, lots of products. And one of the things that we look at when we're analyzing user behavior on a site is how much are they engaged with the elements on the page, right? So they go to a home page. How much are they clicking through the elements that you've set up versus going to the search bar and searching for what they want? And a really well optimized site, you're going to have high engagement with those different page elements. However, even in those instances, you're going to have a lot of people go into that search bar. And so it's essential that when they go to do that search, that you've optimized that experience, that you're showing them collections and products and ideas. They're going to help guide them through the path to purchase. And so the search functionality that we use with Rebuy allows us to make really great recommendations, to make that presentation a lot cleaner, and again, to experiment with that process without having to get into a lot of complex code. And so it's the overhead, so to speak, is much lower, while still allowing us to test into all sorts of different ideas around smart search and around search presentation.
I love that you use data. That earlier matrix. you've got a framework to decide to kind of like prioritize what's going to have the biggest impact. And so this is a great example of that. I did grab some numbers here from Jaliska. They're using in-cart cross sells, and the smart search has over the last 30 days seen 80,000 searches. 80,000 searches have used Jaliska's smart search over the last 30 days. So that just goes to show that,
clearly it's some valuable real estate. Yeah, it's very important.
Yeah, I think like path to purchase is my new like favorite phrase. It's like you use smart search, you just search for what you want and boom, it kind of just gets you right to what you need, so you don't spend all day looking around for it, right?
That's right.
We got another example here. Next up, let's take a look here. Now talk us through how Roswell is working with Etique.
Yeah, so Etique is a hair care brand out of New Zealand, and they're really a cool brand. We love working with them. And they have an eco-friendly solution they have a great shampoo and other hair care products, but they eliminate plastic packaging by essentially it's a shampoo bar is their core product.
Uh-huh.
And in a situation like this, I think it's a really good example because you've got a product where when people cross the line, when they adopt it, they fall in love with it. But the challenge to getting them there, to getting them to purchase something that's sort of an unfamiliar format for a very familiar product that everyone uses every day, that bar can be kind of high because people aren't sure. And so, fortunately the AOV in this case, isn't such a barrier, but you still have, questions. And so what we really needed to focus on with them clearly was to increase that first purchase conversion. And so one of the things that we've done is we've implemented like gift with purchase, right? And gift with purchase has helped, with those new customers to really increase that new customer conversion rate significantly. And we've seen very widespread adoption of it. And so just among other things that we've used with Etique, with Rebuy,
Nice.
That's been a really critical piece of the puzzle.
Who doesn't like getting a free gift?
Right.
I mean, who doesn't? And so, and it's nice because this is a selectable gift with purchase. It's not like, a standard gift with purchase does very well, but giving people that extra option, 3 options, take your pick, it can motivate folks to add to their cart and boost AOV. And I did pick up a couple numbers here. The selectable gift with purchase over the last 30 days, 23% of all orders have included a gift with purchase.
Right, which is a great adoption.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like we were talking the other day about like if the award threshold is above the AOV, then every gift just pulls that AOV up a little bit further, doesn't it?
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. Now, it turns out that Roswell contains multitudes. They also create content. So I've learned that they've got a very kind of robust, strong content production capability.
That's right.
James, why don't you tell us a little bit about Roswell content?
Yeah, well, as a full service agency, one of the things we have a full design team, right? And so our design team's working on, ads, they're working on email design, web design. And one of the natural extensions in working so closely with our clients across a variety of areas was that, people come to us for everything eventually, right? They do, and they trust us, and so they understand that we know the brand. We're operating, in a sense, as an extension of their internal marketing team. And so frequently people would come to us and ask us for content, which we were already producing via our networks of influencers and, getting UGC and that sorts of things. But we have, photographers, videographers in our network. So ultimately we grew to incorporate that into our offerings. And we've got a network of content producers all over North America, even as far as Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
And so we can provide our clients with a variety of different content production services in a variety of different places. So, urban lifestyle shoots in Toronto or New York, rainforest in Kauai.
Holy smokes.
Or studio shoots or, product shoots, individual product shoots for 3D rendering, all that sort of thing. So a pretty wide array. But the really great thing is that, we've got fantastic relationships with, modeling agencies, different photographers and videographers and so forth. And so we can pass that value along to our clients and
Nice.
create a really clean package for them. Because arranging a big photo shoot, arranging a big video shoot can be a huge task and kind of overwhelming for a brand that's not used to engaging in it on their own. And oftentimes, when they do find services, they're extremely expensive. So
Right.
we're all about providing value and allowing our clients to have those avenues to move through content production quickly and efficiently, but also get the kinds of things that they need to tell the stories that they need, because that's an essential part of conversion rate optimization. Obviously, is you've got to be telling that story visually as compellingly as you can.
Right.
You don't want to go at it half speed. I mean, it really needs to be quality, no matter the size of the brand. It has to be something that reflects the brand voice, and is really going to be compelling enough for people to want to be engaged with that brand on their e-commerce website. And so we're really proud of the services that we've been able to provide in that regard.
I mean, it sounds like you've got almost the entire contiguous United States plus Hawaii. Like, no matter where you're at, if you want some content, Roswell will probably help out.
Yeah, we've definitely done a lot of environments, that's for sure.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Great. And so just to change gears here and to talk about support and service, I was just on the flight down here listening to this podcast about, software as a service. Well, there's this new thing called service as a software, and it just emphasizes the importance of delivering good service to implement different tools. And I know that Roswell delivers excellent service to their clients via the Roswell Care Program.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us here a little bit about the Roswell Care Program?
Sure. Yeah. Roswell Care is our design and development retainer. It's focused on site maintenance, but also enhancements. And I think the real key element that differentiates it from a lot of other, similar products is, again, it comes back to sort of our core ethos, our core focus, which is all around providing strategy and, really finding value and understanding the goals of our brands and helping them pursue those goals. And so, I mean, one of the aspects of that that's really important is understanding the Shopify ecosystem. So if they're on Shopify, Shopify is wonderful because there's thousands of apps that do millions of things.
Right.
But it can be really difficult even for mid to large size brands to navigate that space and understand what the right tools are for them, when those tools should be applied, what the differences are between those different platforms. And so, in addition to keeping our finger on the pulse of all the features and things that are available through Shopify, understanding everything that's available through that ecosystem is a crucial part of our job, so that, in addition to providing that strategic guidance and support to our clients to help them hit their goals, we can also be making those great, the perfect recommendation at the right time, and really understanding the full gamut of features. Like with a tool like Rebuy, there are so many things that you can do, and so understanding how to really fully implement and take advantage of all of those different features, that's really something that is, I think, extremely important.
Great. Yeah, it's been so interesting to see how Roswell uses like a platform that's so as flexible as Rebuy to kind of as a solution for so many different things along, for all the brands on your roster. So It's been really interesting. We're almost time to wrap up, but how cool to learn about Roswell, how you're optimizing the path to purchase, the content creation capabilities you've used, the service you're providing has been fantastic. And so to wrap things up, I wanted to play a little game.
All right.
Are you ready? Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
This is different than anything you've ever done before. All right. So this game is called This or That. Let's go ahead. All right. Little game time to wrap things up. Check this out. So James has agreed to play. It's called This or That. And it's kind of a lightning round. I'm going to fire off 2 polarizing options, and you will just name the first one that comes to mind.
All right.
Got about a dozen of these. We'll fly through this. Okay, ready?
Exciting.
All right. Quality or convenience?
Quality.
Upsell or cross-sell?
Upsell.
Subscription or one-time purchase?
Subscription. Jeez.
Online shopping or in-store experience?
I would say online shopping, but there's a caveat to that.
Okay.
Which is
What store?
Yeah, I mean,
What
it
store
has
we
to
talking
be. You have to think about your online experience like you're presenting an in-store experience, right?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, I
Nice.
think that's an important thing. So yeah, so it's you really want to when you're thinking about a brand, when you're thinking about that sort of thing, imagine yourself walking into a really well-designed storefront.
Wow.
How can you apply that experience to the digital space?
That's a great answer. Great. All right, Google or ChatGPT?
ChatGPT.
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Instagram or TikTok?
I'm old. So I'm going to say Instagram for me personally,
Okay.
because I have kids and that's
right.
where I post them.
80s?
But I market on TikTok. So.
Got you. 80s or 90s?
Oh, man, that's tough. I grew up in both, you know.
Okay. All right.
That's a really tough question.
All right. Hey.
I'm going to say it's a draw.
Okay. Fair. Fair. I like them both too. Okay. Here's a tough one. Instant gratification or delayed gratification?
Delayed gratification, definitely.
Chess or Settlers of Catan?
Settlers of Catan.
Okay. Futurism or retro?
Oh, man. Retrofuturism?
Yes. Oh, that's it right there. Stand out or fit in?
Stand out.
And finally, Black Friday or Cyber Monday?
Black Friday.
All right. So
Yeah.
just as a token of our appreciation, James, here, I want to meet you here in the middle. We just wanted to say thank you. We can do one of those, like, we just drafted you in the first round.
I get a shirt.
You get a shirt. Here, this is unofficial swag. You can hang that. Hold on, camera. Unofficial swag. Thank you, James and Roswell.
Thank you.
This actually is relevant. It does kind of fit. It fits the theme of the day.
Awesome.
So when you wear this, I hope you feel completely optimized. for
Thank you so
conversions.
much, Miles.
It's been a
Really
pleasure.
appreciate
Thank you
it.
for joining us, man.
Thank you.
James Roberts, people. James
Thanks,
Roberts.
everybody.
All right, this one's yours, buddy.
Thank you.